Howdy, folks, and shalom. Hope you're all doing well today.
The fuck was that? It's a Monday, dude.
Yeah, brain's not working.
That's staying in the episode. Howdy, folks, and shalom. I just like that you looked at the camera and went, and shalom.
Shalom to the brothers, howdy to the folks, man. You know how it goes. Howdy, folks, and welcome to another episode of Fully Immersed. This is a themed entertainment podcast. I am joined, as always, by Tobias Lerman, Matante, and Spencer Bennett. Guys, hello.
Hello. Hi.
We're skipping right over it. I am Lane Calder.
He needs
it's good
to
to
go
see you
first
all again.
next time. He needs to go first.
Make you go first next time. First of all, quick housekeeping rules. If you are currently listening on a podcast app, please go ahead and give us a good rating on that. Leave some feedback, whatever you want to do. 5 thumbs up, 5 stars, 5 middle fingers, whatever works. If you're on YouTube, hello. Maybe give us a thumbs up. Think about it.
Shalom.
Today we're talking about Today we're talking about edutainment. So a nice little niche of our industry that we work in. And I think actually a part that all three of us have worked in at one point is educational immersive entertainment. And this has gone through it's a part of the industry that I feel like has gone through several different phases. Is that a fair way to say it? Like, I think that there used to be a lot of that in certain theme parks. Now, perhaps changing a bit in terms of IP. Sometimes, like, we've seen some efforts to make that IP fit the model that had been filled with once before, with more educational about whatever that land was about. But probably not quite as popular in major theme parks as it once was. And you see a lot of smaller productions coming up in, traveling exhibits, things like that, even branches or special edition exhibits in, brick and mortar museums that kind of fill that void a little bit. And it's a very interesting, and I feel like sometimes unrecognized part of our industry. And Spencer wanted to have a conversation about it today, so we're going to let him hit it off, but I'm excited to talk about this.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think you let it nicely, Lane, talking about how it's kind of something people don't think about when they think about what it is we do in the themed entertainment, immersive experience world. It's a pretty, I would argue it's almost a pillar of what we do. Like museums, science centers, they are kind of a foundational aspect of this world. Zoos, aquariums that I've talked about before. But yeah, I was just thinking, because my niece and nephew, this is a very small scale thing out in Roseville, California, right near where Lane and I grew up.
Out.
Yeah, shout out.
Fuck that is. We weren't from Roseville. Fuck Roseville.
No, we were from Lincoln. Rockland, Lincoln. Yeah. Roseville's just next to it. But there's a thing called the Utility Museum, which is almost like a like simulator for kids of if they were garbage men or construction workers or firefighters. And it's like, in a sense, is an immersive exhibit where kids like can get behind the wheel of a garbage truck and things light up and they tell you like, this is the crane to open the thing, like the back hatch thing of, I don't know how a garbage truck work, but the thing in the back that you put the trash in.
Basically a transformer, I think.
Yeah, it's like exactly. But like they press buttons and stuff as if they're doing it. And to my 2-year-old nephew, it was the best thing he's ever seen. And he's probably not going to forget that for many years to come. And he talked about wanting to go back once he got home. And so I think there's that just kind of started the gears turning in my head of like, oh yeah, there's like a lot of interesting things that can be done in this world with education and things like that on obviously like an incredibly small scale. But as you talked about, Lane, like this was a very big part of the 80s and 90s of theme parks, specifically Epcot and then even, Universal Studios / MGM Studios. Like the point originally was to educate people on how movies are made, how special effects happen. Like a huge attraction in Universal Hollywood was that special effects show. They had animatronics and like, horror makeup and all this stuff that people were fascinated by how that works,
Yeah. Even
So
things like the Indiana Jones stunt
for
spectacular.
sure, yeah,
Does that still exist?
I
Yeah, I
think it
think
is.
so.
I think it does, yeah.
I love that they
There
say, "We're gonna show you movie magic."
Yeah. As, like, cynical as it probably was, at the end of the day, it was for educational purposes,
Yeah,
and, Epcot, when it first started the experimental prototype community of tomorrow, right? Like, there was 2 aspects of it that were both education. One was
yeah,
cultures of people around the World Showcase, and then Future World was about the future, and
right.
that has since shifted to be, what it is
Dude,
today.
Tomorrowland.
Tomorrowland was about the
Tomorrowland, the
future.
original House of the Future, right?
Yeah,
The
Yeah,
dude.
original Disneyland.
Innoventions.
Carousel of
Yeah.
Progress,
Mhm.
fucking what's it called? Like Flight to the Moon,
Yeah, I
all
mean, like,
that shit. That
even
was
Journey to the
sick.
Moon, yeah.
Innoventions in that, like, giant building in, California, like, it
Most
was
cursed robot I've ever seen in
yeah,
my
I forget
life.
his name,
I
like, the
love
see-through
that fucker.
guy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
terrifying.
but his whole point was, like, "Welcome to the future," and this stuff, and,
Yeah.
like, it used to almost be,
Yeah.
like, a place for I remember, like, LG and, like,
Yeah,
Toshiba
they
and
would
Yeah, I mean,
companies
endorse,
would,
that
like,
was the
yeah.
show
thing.
tech.
Yeah, that was the
Even
thing.
into
Yeah, yeah.
Epcot though, like, I mean, I think when I don't know if it still is, but when we went, Test Track was still sponsored by, like, Chevy
And it
or
was about, like,
something.
car production, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, which is
Yeah,
so
yeah. I
interesting.
think they're sponsored by GM now with 3.0 or whatever.
Alright.
Yeah.
I think Epcot's the only place that rides are really still sponsored.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that sounds right. Although Small
And
World
you
might be sponsored by someone, like
Siemens, maybe.
Canon. Oh, Siemens, okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, but, yeah, I just
I
think
mean,
it's
you
an
even had, like,
interesting Oh, sorry, go
great
ahead.
moments with Mr. Lincoln,
For
like,
sure.
oh,
Very much
real
that.
old example, yeah,
Yeah, Hall of
yeah.
Presidents, like, these things, nothing new besides maybe we can talk about, like you said, you kind of alluded to it, Lane, the Journey of Water thing in Epcot,
Yeah,
which is,
that was
maybe
just
a
I was recalling that,
interesting
yeah, the last thing I feel like, at least that I remember hearing about or that I looked into in terms of what, like, a major theme park was doing in that space was having that, water journey, whatever it's called, with Moana in Epcot, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And, I mean, Toby, you said you actually did it, right?
Yeah, I did it.
Did you
There's
learn?
water.
Oh.
I learned that water is wet, which is pretty cool.
Oh.
Um,
Okay.
and green looks really cool. I like green, so there was a lot of greenery and don't have kids. That was the other thing I learned.
Some
Uh
some bad kids in the
Some
in the
screaming
experience?
Dude,
kiddos.
it was just all children screaming and like amazed by water, which again is a good thing for what we're going to talk about today.
You know what?
But
Yeah.
I don't even there was like vague signage, but it really wasn't educational in the sense of like a spaceship Earth
Mm.
or my boy living with the land
Yeah,
was.
living with the land is everyone's favorite in this
Yeah.
side pillar of the industry for sure.
Dude, I love honestly, it just makes me hungry. So I just want to eat all the veggies. But it's not it's so like we're gonna call it educational, but like there's just signage to the side and no one is reading it because all the adults are focused on their children and children are children.
So would you argue
So
it's almost like a glorified, like, splash pad? Is that kinda
it
what
is
it
a
is?
it
Like
Okay.
water
literally
park.
is a glorified. I mean, it's not like it's an invisible. It's like
Right. It's not like
I
it's
just
not
remember.
themed.
No, no,
Mhm.
it's like the education is sort of there from what I remember, but like it wasn't like it felt integral to. It wasn't like, oh, you really get to. You have to understand how water works to progress through the experience. It was like, here's a sign and a very fun activation. You can
Gotcha.
either go to the side and read this sign, or you can do the activation. It wasn't like they felt natural. So like
Yeah.
I think they just were trying to keep the spirit of whatever, hey man, fuck it. It's been more educational than Cosmic Rewind, but
Yeah, so it's like they almost like throwing a, for lack of a better word, like, term, throwing a bone to the original
Yeah.
idea of the
it
park.
felt like that. I don't mind it. I
Yeah,
didn't hate it. I thought it was really nice. I spent a good amount of time there because it's just the vibes were fantastic, and I
sure.
like nature and I like water, and that had both those things. Could have give two shits about Moana, but like, hey, it was cool. Um,
I remember when they originally pitched it, I think at a D23 or something, but
dude,
they
like
were like,
years
it's
ago.
about like it's literally called Journey of Water, right? So the idea was it was like showing the different stages of the water cycle and the many uses of water within like different, technologies or cultures or whatever. Like there was a lot
Yeah.
of the idea
Yeah.
was it was going to be kind of about that and using I think I talked about in our first or second episode, the like blank check element of, well, if we tie it to Moana, people will go into it so we can do what we want.
Sure. Yeah.
Um,
I
but
maybe
you
I'm
didn't, that didn't
remembering it
seem to be your
wrong.
experience.
Maybe I'm remembering it wrong because I just don't remember anything where I was like,
Well,
I
then they
learned
didn't do it. Then
something.
it didn't achieve what they set out to do if you don't remember it, right? Like that's
Right.
I remember, like, it looking pretty. That was,
Mm,
like, the number one takeaway, and it was hot as balls
sure.
because it was Florida,
sure.
and I was just like, "Water and pretty, that's enough for me to go inside, and it's new, so I'll check it out." I don't remember fuck. I'm sure there is maybe more th than I'm giving it credit for.
hmm
I just don't none of it right now is like, "Oh, yeah, I that's a really interesting, you know, interpretation of the water cycle and where the different streams of water can come from." Because also, like, how do you do that? Water comes from, like, mountains and a bunch of glaciers and all this shit.
I think it was
That's
going to
not
be like
Moana
different
themed.
biomes, right? And it was like kind
No,
of
it's not
using
different
her.
biomes. The
Okay.
biome is Moana, the biome, and that's, you know,
Well, maybe it
And that's the
changed throughout
biome
the
they stay
production
in.
process, as has been known to happen in recent years, as budget
yeah, I'm
and whatnot. But
I'm not against it, you know?
yeah, no, no, I think
There's
the
definite
idea was great. And I'm not against in any way, shape, or form tying an IP to something like that
Hey,
because
Nemo.
yeah, right.
The
The
Seas
seas
with
is
Nemo
a
and Friends,
full blown
that shit's
aquarium.
that's awesome, and that is actually pretty there's a lot of educational I mean, no one
Absolutely.
really does it, but there's a
Well, it
lot
was
of educational
opened
material.
originally just as an aquarium with
Yeah,
a,
yeah,
I
yeah.
forget what the name of the ride was, but it was, you saw these different biomes of like the
Yeah,
ocean, and it was
Yeah.
like
I
there was
think
scuba divers and whatnot down there, and
it's
um
a close enough comp,
okay,
I think.
yeah,
I don't remember. It was such a side mission. Also, it's
no, that's
I'll be
fine.
honest, what adults goes to Epcot and is sober? Like, it's
Also
Epcot.
true. Also true.
I was pretty hammered probably by then. I was, like, complaining about the kids, and the kids were probably complaining about me. So, you know what? I can't really say anything. Um,
Epcot does take on a different meaning in your adult years for sure.
Yeah,
get
for
Um,
sure.
drink ar 12
drink
drinks,
around the
man. Can you
world.
do it?
Yeah, yeah.
I've never done it. I get halfway through and I'm like, "Nope, I'm gonna puke."
Yeah, but even that, like, that element of it where it's like you're trying different food and different specific drinks to areas, like, the whole point was to educate you on culture. I just think
Right.
this is something that has been largely forgotten in the modern theme
Yeah.
parks, but still lives on arguably stronger in, like Lane, you talked about earlier, like brick and mortar museums and traveling exhibits and whatnot.
So
Like
cool.
some of the
Yeah.
coolest integrations in recent years I've seen has been in museums. But yeah, dude, Lane, do you have any examples to share about that or anything in theme parks that you remember kind of alluding
I
to
don't
this
know.
stuff?
I mean, I know what's popular now. I mean, I know because it's in Denver right now, but there is the Titanic exhibit,
hmm
and obviously, like that's you could
People love
argue
the
that
boat.
it's an exhibit, but like it is kind of entertainment because Titanic has taken on like its own meaning in
Yeah, it's almost
entertainment.
like
Like,
they using the movie as just
yeah,
like a, not that
Who do that?
necessarily a
Yeah, the
theme to the
movie
movie,
just,
but
like
the movie just made that a cultural
right,
zeitgeist even more so than
yeah.
it
yeah,
was.
yeah, and it. I mean, I don't know. Like I've always thought it's a little weird to like be entertained by like 1,200 people dying,
Sure.
but like I think the movie definitely had that effect, and I think that you really started seeing a lot of those type of exhibits pop up when they re-released the movie,
Yeah.
like if a few years back, whenever that was, and I mean, look, I mean, part of it's cool. I know that there's like a brick and mortar proper Titanic museum where they've recreated half of the ship in Missouri, I believe.
Yeah, it's in
Um,
Branson.
yeah, and I've always meant to go to that too. I don't know if you ever have, Spencer. I know you've done some work out there, but
I went in the lobby and I
okay.
exchanged like business cards with the people and saw a little bit of it. It's pretty cool. They have like a
Gotcha.
full staircase you can walk up like
Yeah,
on the boat. It's I mean it's a full crazy big
yeah,
build. Like it is a
and that's a
enormous
museum.
Titanic museum.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like they have
it is.
actual artifacts and
Yeah.
stuff there, and they let you feel how cold the water was that
Mhm.
night and things like that, and they have different stages of the tilt of the ship for you to stand on so you could understand how hard it was to hold on and what
Yeah.
that must have been like to know that you're going to lose your grip and die. And I think that things like that hit a lot harder than especially with the nature of that than maybe you know certain props and then projection for the rest of it, like a lot of the
Yeah.
exhibits tend to do.
There are
That's not
clever.
me. That's not me docking on like the Titanic exhibit or anything. It's just like I think that there's certain aspects of it that you can tell when the funding is there for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that it hits harder when you can actually feel and experience like what that might have been like. Um, Toby, I know that you brought it up before the show, but that you went to the Holocaust Museum and they gave you like an actual pamphlet or something about somebody who perished, right?
Holocaust museums are like painfully immersive.
Yeah,
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And that's kind of like why I'm taking it this direction is like I do think that it's interesting that even edutainment, like some of the hardest hitting stuff for me is stuff like that where
oh, dude, those have to be, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I
yeah,
have a lot of examples, but we can talk. Yeah, dude, Holocaust museums kinda the best ones I've been to have that immersive stuff
Is
to
that
it
the one
because,
in
like, I don't think
Baltimore you went to, or is it in DC?
I went to the one in DC. I've been to
Okay.
a few. I've been to the one out here, and I've been to the one in Israel too.
Oh, okay.
okay.
Um, they all, like, it's with that one, it's one of those things where I feel like it's such an atrocity that I think if you're not careful with it, your brain just kinda goes numb. You're like, "Oh, yeah, people died." Like, yeah, and
Yeah.
that's not,
It's
that's
hard to
just like
grasp the scope of it when you're, like,
it
reading a
literally is,
textbook. Like,
unless
it's
they, like,
so many people.
yeah, yeah, unless they find a way to recreate it and make you
Yeah.
feel what it is, and, like, I mean, I know that I don't know if it was intentional, the one in DC has a very interesting flow, I
Huh.
guess you could say, where it feels very crammed at times.
Mhm.
Like, and it feels uncomfortable to be in there, and I think it's
It's
great. It
probably
feels
on
like a maze.
purpose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does the job. I mean, they have, like, recreations of what, like, the, not the barracks, whatever, where people would be, like, the where
Bunkhouses
the
situation.
houses, yeah, yeah, and,
Yeah.
like, I think the one in LA has, like, an accurate representation of, like, what the gas chambers look like, and you could step in there,
Jeez.
and you could see, yeah, it's pretty brutal, man. Or I think I could be misremembering. One of them even had, like, a street that was all decked out like it would have been, back in the era, and just be like, "Oh, shit, yeah, this," you just walk through the streets, and there's Nazi propaganda everywhere you're
Yeah.
walking.
No, for sure. I think you really said something interesting about how the gravity of something like that, it's almost difficult to grasp in a classroom, but when you're presented with
Yeah.
it in an environment that, is immersive, for better or for worse, like you're
When it's
thrown into
physical
when it's
and
You
physical and you're
feel it.
visceral.
Yeah,
Yeah.
experiencing
you're
it.
there.
Yeah.
You're there. When you're stepping into one of those trains and you're like, "Yeah, people really were here for fucking months in the
Yeah.
worst conditions, crammed like sardines," that just puts you in a whole different place, or you see what the beds look like in front of you,
Yeah.
or what it must have been like stepping into a concrete, dungeon where they just threw fucking what, monoxide mustard gas at you, whatever it was, Zoclon something, whatever it was called.
Mhm.
I'm a bad Jew. I should know this. Um, but yeah, dude, that shit hits. You're like, fuck, this is so much more
Yeah.
real. And I mean, with stuff like that, I think it's important. It's like it's not really an immersive exhibit by any means, but
Per se, yeah.
out here, like at 4 hours, like on the way to Sequoia, I think, or Yosemite, you can visit a perfectly preserved internment camp.
Oh,
Um,
oh, sorry, I didn't
Yeah.
realize.
I
Okay.
went to that, yeah, and, like, when you're out there, holy shit. You're like, it's the
Yeah.
middle of nowhere, the wind is howling, the dust is unbearable, the weather's insane, and it's just these wooden shacks that are crammed up the ass, and you're just walking around, and you're like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
good job, America," right? Um, so no, but but
Yeah.
but but you're that's like I mean, I think a museum, anytime you're dealing with something heavy, that's the best way to do it, man. It's not don't just
Yeah.
talk about it, put it in front of people, let them see it, let
Yeah.
them
So
feel it.
so then
Yeah.
would you class like what you were saying about, the internment camp, like would you say that locations like that, at least for us, like maybe it's different overseas where stuff is generally older, but would you say that being in a museum that or a place that was where that happened, whatever it
Oh,
was,
dude, that
has
shit
turned
hits.
into a museum? Like for me, that's like Alcatraz or the Winchester Mystery House, where it's like you're literally in the space. Like, is that immersive entertainment to an extent, or is it just a
I mean, it's
museum? Like, where's that line, you
I
know?
I don't I don't know. Oof, that's weird because like I mean Winchester is also like Winchester is a crazy old lady with a lot of money. Internment camps is Japanese people being crammed into camps for being Japanese, so slightly different.
Yeah, of
But
course, they're not on the same
yeah,
scale at all.
no,
No,
no, no,
but
no, no. But
Alcatraz is
but
a decent comparison in terms
Alcatraz
of
is a very good comparison
like
because like
just
it's also
being in
like
that
you're
space. Yeah,
yeah, and I've yet to go visit Auschwitz, which I should
Mm.
at some point. I feel like any person who is of Jewish heritage should go see that, but I feel like that's another one where it's like so well preserved and like that's the best kind, the worst kind, but the best kind of immersive, and that's not
Yeah,
really entertainment. That's like shock therapy education, I guess.
right.
I'd say it. There's no
Yeah.
entertainment in going to Auschwitz unless you're a
no,
No,
but it
fucking
there's
is
psychopath.
it is you are immersed in not necessarily just from the
there's definitely a
location.
line there,
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah. Well,
somewhere.
it's like I'm not.
But it's still immersive. I mean, it's the
Yeah,
bet,
For
and
sure.
and like I was saying earlier, it's the kind you need. I think for stuff that is like the atrocities of humanity,
Yeah.
the best way to do it is to put people in it. And I mean, with the Holocaust Museum, it's like not everyone can go fly out to Auschwitz. Not everyone can come out to California to go to middle of nowhere to go see an internment camp. But if
Mhm.
you're going to
Right.
build something like that, you have to put people in it, I think, and you have to recreate that. There is like like you were saying, Lane. There is that extra gravitas of like, oh, this is where it happened. Like
Sure.
a couple decades ago, this was suffering
Yeah.
like of the
Yeah.
worst kinds you've ever seen. So that does add something to it, but in general, I think for anything, we took a really dark turn.
No, but this
No,
like
but
this is elements. This is historical education
yeah,
in
and I,
this
I
industry, right? Like there's, I think it's not even just the location. It's the execution of the exhibits. It's the
yeah,
tactic being presented.
yeah.
Having you simulate being a person in this time period that lived this, or in
yeah,
the case of like you said with the Titanic or with the Holocaust Museum, like seeing people's clothes and like being in the space, like the way things are presented
Yeah.
and executed, I would argue is immersive just in a
no, it is,
completely
it is,
different
I feel like
way.
maybe to, like, I don't know, sort of find a line somewhere is like, I know we've mentioned it before, kind of making fun of it, Spencer, but like, to bring back Alcatraz,
Sure.
when you go there, it is a museum, right?
Right.
Like, there's plaques everywhere, you read it. But if you do the audio tour, which in itself is a very museum feature,
sure,
like a lot of museums have an audio guide, but that, like, there's different actors in it that voice different prisoners, and they introduce themselves to you, they lead you through
Aren't there like
a
mannequins
day.
in certain
there are,
cells that are
In
yeah, they're
some,
characters?
really
Yeah.
they're really impressive.
they they
It's
lead you
haunting.
through the schedule of a day as a prisoner, so
Right.
like they really, that's kind of where the divide is for me, I think, is like, yes, being there where it happened obviously is immersive, whether that is educational, or sorry, entertaining or horrifying, like it is immersive. um but like adding that aspect of like, how could we really make people feel like what it was like to actually be here 50 years ago
Yeah.
or whatever it was, like that's kind of where it becomes a bit more
Yeah,
getting into that realm of edutainment for me,
And
I
that's
think.
no,
like
and
that's like
yeah,
the our industry
Right.
impact on that, right? Like we're not
Right.
yeah,
historians, but we can take something like that and think, okay, what can we do with this audio guide to put
yeah,
Yeah.
and
someone there,
Because they could have
it's
just been like a general museum guide where it's like,
This is
now
this,
proceed to plaque
Right.
24A. And then it
and
reads you,
read it,
this
yeah,
is what this meant.
But
And
making it
like,
feel
but it wasn't
alive is
like
a
that.
completely different experience.
that's
Yeah.
so interesting
I
on our
remember
industry.
I
Yeah,
was walking
absolutely.
through, like, in the audio guide, I was walking through a cell block divide, the tunnel between the cell blocks.
Mhm.
And there's, in the audio, there's a prisoner that whispers, "Hey," at you from
Dude,
like
I
off to your
I
remember
remember,
left.
that. It
I
And
remember
you
scared
that too.
I remember
me.
I
Scared the shit
jerked
out of
around.
me.
Like, I
I
was like,
forgot
am I
about
being haunted
that.
right now? Like that, like, but that really, like, people were yelling and screaming in the audio, and like they make you kind of understand because when you go there now, it's quiet. It's a museum,
Yeah.
right? But it didn't used to be that way. Not when there are people there screaming
Dude, that
24/7.
fucking probably it was horrible. I mean, I guess that does speak to the power we have outside of the fun of immersive, and
That's what I
Yeah.
I mean,
wanted to
maybe
like make this episode about, was that
Yeah, like
yeah,
that
yeah,
footage of
that
yeah.
aspect of
Doobly.
itself, like, obviously not as heavy as the other shit we've talked about on here, but, like, that aspect in itself is kinda horrifying to see, like, oh my god, like,
Oh, for
even get a
sure.
sense of the sound of what it was like
Yeah,
to be there.
I mean, listen, it's probably pretty heavy. I mean, think about it. I'm sure Alcatraz, we all know it has like this crazy, super
That was where the
terrible,
worst of the worst went. That was
but at the
like
same time,
crazy.
those were still people who had to live
Yeah,
through
Yeah.
that, you know. And
absolutely.
and no matter what you do, like I'm sure again, I'm the firm believer that no matter what you do, I don't believe in torturing a human being.
Oh, no,
So
no,
like
no.
having to live through that, I'm sure and getting
Yeah.
to I mean, it's also like a weird, like, I think I had that moment when I was in there, a weird, like sobriety check. I'm like, oh my God, wait,
Yeah.
these are still people.
No,
Like
I
they
know,
Yeah.
live
like,
this,
yeah, and I
you
guess I
know?
was trying to say, like, at the time, it was like, this is where you sent, like, the bad guy, like Al
Yeah.
Capone and, like,
Yeah,
gangsters
fuck
went
those
here,
guys.
and
Yeah.
then you're like, as you get older and you're experiencing, you're like, "These were people, like, in cages." Like
Yeah.
like, this is so
I
weird to see, and
Just
really
it's
rotting in the
wonder
sea salt.
scary,
they
and
should
yeah.
idea for whoever anybody we should do it, but like no, I mean something about with the current immigration crisis, I would love
Sure.
to like let's put people through like what it's like to be captured and have to live in a fucking detention
Yeah.
center, or what the voyage is like, even when you're coming here illegally, whatever, you're still
Yeah.
doing
Sure.
that voyage, you know what I mean?
No, and
I think
these are,
yeah,
like, profound moments you can and epiphanies you can, like, create in a person doing
yeah,
what
Yeah.
we
show them.
do, but in this different environment. And I don't
Yeah,
know, I think
I'm
there's a power to theming and immersion that's not
I
just theme
really
park, you know?
wonder if there's any like immersive experiences or plays or something that kind of talks about incarceration on a more
I'm
modern level.
sure.
That I'm sure is would be incredible
I mean, the
and
Alcatraz
super
audio
powerful.
guide is a pretty decent example of that, but that's also, like, very old school. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that place has been closed since, like, the '60s now,
yeah,
right?
and then now they do, like,
Trump wants
ghost
to reopen
tours
it.
in it and stuff. Oh, geez,
We'll
yeah.
see, dude. It's way too expensive to run. That's the whole reason it closed. It was too
Yeah.
expensive.
You shouldn't be building a fucking prison in the concentration camp in the goddamn Everglades, but here we are.
True.
So who
True.
knows? We're not spending money on what matters right now. Uh, regardless, though, I do think it's an interesting thing to put in perspective, because we all think about, like, I think in this industry, like, oh, I want to work for Disney or Universal, or I want to build the fun stuff, and you're like, you could. I have those moments. I'm sure we all have them, right? Like for a
Yeah.
career, we realistically do pretty stupid shit,
What do I say?
right?
What do I say?
Like
We're basically carnies. That's always
we like we
You
do
do say
dumb
that.
stuff. Our job
Sure.
is just to like come up with just make sure realistically, how do you get people to spend unholy
Yeah.
amounts of money on
We all
on
take what we do deadly serious, but then if you take a step back, it's extremely silly.
it's
Yeah.
so dumb.
We
Yeah.
always, there's always a point in October where you're like, something's falling apart, at least for me on like the haunted house side of things, where,
Yeah.
things are going crazy or whatever, rough night. And, at the end of the day, it's like people throw it around, they say, we're just scaring people.
That's
Like,
it.
that's all
Yeah.
we're doing.
We're just
That's
giving
all
them
this
a
is
good
about. It's like,
but
we're
but
just
it,
scaring
Give
it's
them a
people.
good
it's an
time.
interesting
Yeah.
thing to think about, and it's hard because like I don't know what money there is in there, and we still have to make a living
Yeah.
doing this. And anybody
Yeah.
who's working in this industry is incredibly privileged to be. It's like moving in the film industry. It's like you are privileged to be making a living out of entertaining people in any way,
Absolutely.
shape,
Yeah.
whether you're a musician, a theater, a stage actor, a movie, producer, writer, whatever. That's a privilege. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, we really, especially in our industry, we have the power to like really put people and show some really
Yeah.
important things. And it's like, I wonder if like maybe hopefully we start seeing it's tough because people also don't want to pay money to go through a bad time. But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
but
people
at
That's a
there's a
good
this,
point.
yeah.
stigma. Obviously lots of people love museums. Like museums are one of my great loves.
Yeah.
Like I love that kind of stuff. But I think it's also it's difficult to convince people to spend money on educational anything. And so I think
Hmm.
what was some of the more interesting stuff about like the kind of early theme park days where this was almost a priority between the two major chains, and even Dollywood has like a bald eagle exhibit that's really cool, that's still there, but like there was something, it was almost what's the word, it was like weaving it in to where you didn't realize you were being educated. So
Yeah.
for instance, like Ellen's Energy Adventure was this
Dude,
attraction at
fuck
Epcot
yeah. The
for a
nap time
long
ride, I
time.
love it.
That was like, I mean, what an insanely ambitious attraction. 45
40
minutes
minutes, right?
long,
Like an
40
hour. It was
minutes
like
long.
I
Yeah.
did it once and I fell asleep for a good amount. But
Yeah.
regardless,
But they like
um,
wrapped it into this idea of we'll get Ellen, the funny talk show host, to just like kind of
and Bill
razz the
Nye. Don't forget
audience
Bill
and Bill
Nye.
Nye, and it'll be silly. But the whole point was like the history of energy. So she goes back in time and there's like dinosaurs and they talk about like fossil fuels and
Whoa.
electricity. And there's all these like elements to this attraction.
Wasn't it sponsored by like Exxon though?
Something. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
really shitty company. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was like, for sure. I mean, I'm not doubting there was financial motivations to have that
Yeah.
attraction.
Oil is
Some
the
lobbying
future.
being
But that
done.
was like a crazy thing where they found a way to weave it in. And so I
Yeah.
think like I don't know, that was just a good point by you, Toby, to kind of like people paying for that kind of thing is difficult.
So I think that's a generational thing, honestly. I
I
think back
agree.
then parents were more concerned about their kids learning, which is like such a cynical thing to say.
No, and now
But
they're all
like back then it
iPad
was like
kids, right? That's the difference.
exactly. Back then it was like, okay, like I want to take my kids out. I want them to get something out of this. So I as a parent don't feel shitty about being a bad parent
Yeah.
and spending a whole day. So here I can go and have my drinks and whatever and they're still learning and we're going on a ride. And that's like spoon feeding them. I don't know if parents today, I mean, god damn, they're like whatever. Here's the new Mr. Beast video. Have fun.
I think
Um
also people have to like, especially like in today's world where everything's so expensive, you have mom and dad both working full time, and
yeah.
so it's like so much easier when you get home from work to put the kid in front of the TV versus,
Yeah.
have the time to engage with them on a
Yeah.
level like that. I think I would argue that between the three of us, like some of our most formative experiences with the themed entertainment, but themed industry probably were different museums and science centers. Like
Dude, I have
Lane,
a
Yeah.
list.
yeah, like Lane, you and
Yeah.
I grew up obviously in the Sacramento area. And what's the big historical element of Sacramento area? The gold rush, right? The Old West, the gold rush.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to
Yeah.
so many different exhibits where you
Oh my god.
simulated being a miner and you'd pan for
Fucking hell.
gold and the transcontinental, or what was it called? The railroad, whatever it was called. Um,
Yeah, the Railroad Museum.
yeah, the railroad museum where there's like animatronic like workers
Oh,
going
dude.
up shafts and like,
Most of them were just dummies. That shit was
yeah, they were on
horrifying.
just like a pulley. But I
Yeah.
remember as a kid being like, oh, we're going to the railroad museum, like all these
Yeah.
different exhibits, and you got to walk inside the car of a old train and
The
sit in the
sleeping
dining
car
cab
and the
and
dining
get
car.
food,
Yeah.
like it was, and that is
The
what we
engine.
do,
You know.
but it's just in such a different way. And I think it's important to experience those kinds of things and to put effort
Yeah.
into those kinds of things because you never forget that. Lane, you
No,
can
and
talk
I
about it more, but
yeah, so the Sacramento Train Museum is so interesting because yeah, I feel like I probably went there once a year from the time I
yeah,
was 5 to when I was 11. It's just one of those yearly, Old Town Sacramento in general is one of those like yearly field trips around that area.
hmm
But it it's either the train museum or panning for fake gold
yep, at like
stuff
Mhm.
Fort
people like.
Bragg, I think it's called, or
Yeah,
no, Fort Sutter
Fort Sutter,
or
yeah.
Sutter Fort,
Sutter
whatever the
Fort,
heck it's
yeah.
called.
Yeah. Uh, Sutter's Mill, that's what it is.
I messed it up so bad.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, the train museum was always interesting because they had actual train cars in that building. Like, the building was specialty made for that, right?
It's
Like,
huge. It's like a giant
it's
indoor rail
massive, it's
yard. Yeah.
tall, and it's basically an indoor rail yard, and there's several different exhibits. There's even a large amphitheater with like that they usually have some sort of show on a screen that's usually like 15-20 minutes long, like a documentary of some sort.
hmm
Um, and then all of the different cars, and you actually get to see what it was like to travel by rail back when that was like more of a thing than it is today. And uh I heard like the refrigerator car was actually always like cold, and
yeah.
and and the sleeping car, it rattled from side to side
As
so
if
that
it was going.
you had that sense of it moving. And they had screens outside the windows that would have lights going by every once in a while, so it looked like you were on a train at night.
And it was like,
And
imagine having to sleep in here and like you're
yeah, and
stacked like 4 people high in like a little
right.
cot. Like
And they have, like, I remember they had always had, like, a dummy or something in one
they
of
were
the
so
beds, and it would
creepy.
always
Yeah.
scare me. Yeah, it
You'd like
was
snore or
horrifying.
something. They play like
Yeah, I
snoring
was like, "Ugh,"
sounds.
I
Yeah.
but,
love that shit.
little Lane did not like that. But, yeah, no, I mean, it was such an interesting way, and to be honest, I feel like that's how I know that it latched onto me was because I still remember that
Exactly.
so
Dude.
vividly, you
How
know?
well can you recount a like recent ride you've been on versus how like accurately you just like walked through the California Train Museum, you know? Like like,
Yeah.
this is like a formative thing for kids and for people in
Yeah.
general. Like,
Dude, my god, yeah. I
Toby, do you
you
have
were
any
talking
examples
earlier.
from your
Dude, I have
childhood?
one, and you brought this up because for some reason in Argentina, these immersive city things were huge growing up.
Oh,
So when I was a
Hmm.
kid over there, I loved there were I went to like 3 different ones all the time. And there was one that was awesome. I mean, they had like a radio station, like a TV station. They had like it was a full-blown city, and it was just run by kids.
so it was just like an indoor. Can you like explain kind of what that
It
was? Like,
it like they built a city indoors, but
okay.
like
Whoa.
I mean, there's one that's really interesting. Oh, fuck, I think it's like Ciudad de los Niños, which it translates to City of Kids. That I've been to that one a good amount when I was. That one was weird. The history as you get older, because that was like from like the Peronism era in the 50s, where it was like very weird populism, and that's a whole
Uh,
political thing.
Wow.
But that's still around. But this is like a modern day take on that. And I remember this one. I remember I can tell you what it fucking smelled like in there. Um, it no,
yeah.
but again, but yeah, it was like they built out a city, like, and it was like buildings. Each building had like a different storefront, and like you could have these little cars that weren't vehicle; they were like Flintstone things, but they were still cars, and you could drive around.
So it was almost
I
like a
just remember,
simulation of like a functioning
yeah,
metropolis kind of thing.
it
That's
was a
wild.
simulation of Metropolis for kids. It was only kids running around and running the city, and it was awesome because like you really
Sounds
learned
pretty
like
cool, honestly.
it was so cool, and it was like and it was very educational. It was like, "Oh, here's what" for kids, but here's what a news station, like a news anchor does, and here's what, like, a restaurant person or a chef does, and here's what, like, a mail person you get assigned roles, I think. So, like, the mail person would walk around and give people mail, which was fun, a random child running around being like, "Here's your mail." Um, but and those were big, yeah, yeah, and so that's, like, a core memory. I remember I could be there for hours,
But that's an
and
immersive experience, right? If you're simulating
dude,
as
100%.
mundane as that is, like, you're the mailman in the city. But as a kid, if
Yeah.
you're, like, given objectives and you're, like, interacting with the world
Was
as
so
if you
fun.
were a mailman, like, that is immersive mailman, you know? Like, as
It was
silly as
sick,
that
it was
sounds, but
sick.
it's awesome.
No, no, I loved it. I really loved it, and then, like, the other ones that were really big were, and these still exist now, and I think it's the only place where I think outside of other museums, edutainment's still going strong. It's, kids museums.
Yeah.
Kids
Yeah.
museums are those there was one in Argentina that I spent, like, 3 birthdays at. Any birthday I had, I wanted to go there. It was and they had a I remember they had, like, a gi they taught you, like, how, like, waste works, so you, like, went down in a giant toilet.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
it was really cool. I don't know, I
Yeah.
just remember that giant toilet being like, "This is sick."
What little boy isn't stoked when he sees the giant toilet, you know?
Dude, and you get to go down it like a slide, you're like, "Whoa, this is what happens to poop." Sick.
No, I
But,
mean, yeah. Yeah.
it was awesome. I mean, I love those, and those, my formative years, even in the US too, coming here, like, those were still really fun. Those, like, are interactive, they're immersive, and it's really funny because education and learning are at the forefront of it, but it's all done through play, right? And
That's a great yeah.
I
Yeah.
wonder if that's lost more now because back when I was a kid, we were all kids, you know, this didn't exist.
Right.
Um, so that was
He
our
was
fir it was like
gesturing to his phone for you audio
oh, yeah,
listeners.
audio people, like, what your phones well, even video games, like, I don't think I got my first Game Boy until I was, like, 8 or some shit
Yeah.
like that. So, like, most of my childhood was, like, these were my favorite places to go because you got to
You were
play.
able to yeah, to have the sensation of play, but like, locked in to what was
Yeah.
around you, you know?
It
And
was
yeah,
so
I think
fun.
that, that's a really good term, the sense of play. Like, I've talked about this before, but I was a cultural creative industry minor, and that was a kind of a big focus was something that's inherently extremely important to humans is play. That just the sense of mammals in general, like, animals play and whatever. And I think finding a way to like stimulate the play element of a person, not even just a child, of a person, but also teach them something and entertain them, that's a really cool intersection. And that I'm fascinated by
Dude,
that kind of thing. And
it's
these
funny
things,
because like that.
clearly made an impact on us. So
I mean, it's still around. That's what escape rooms
absolutely.
are.
Yeah.
Escape
Great
rooms are
point.
play, and but I feel like parks in particular have lost it, and maybe it's a throughput thing, maybe it's like a scale thing. Um,
Do you think
but
if
yeah,
people
it's
just
like
it wouldn't draw, they don't was like focus group to death, right? And it doesn't have
yeah,
the
it's
same
like
impact of
it's so funny how people and it's something that's super talked about in our industry all the time. Whenever you're doing anything interactive, you can plan it, you can have 300 creative meetings, you can get it approved, you can budget it, but until you play test that shit, you don't know how it's gonna work. You
yeah.
gotta play
Yeah.
test things,
People
and
have to
I
understand it and
people
interact with
forget.
it the
Yeah,
way you
it's
want them to?
it's the sense of play, dude. It's literally
Yeah.
like yeah, it's just like being a kid again and having to use your brain to achieve an objective, not just like scan a QR code.
Yeah,
There
and I
is
think
no
there's an
play in
element of
that.
freedom to it as well. Like, if I remember there was a thing we did, on a field trip. I don't know if we did this as well, Lane, but where we went to this, like, planetarium, and they put us all at different stations as if we were in, like, a spaceship, and it was like, "This is the, engineering room, and this is the blah, blah, blah room. These are the pilots," and
What?
you got, like, a sheet of paper that was like,
I never got to do that. That
"You do
sounds sick
this
as fuck.
experiment," and I mean, I'm making it sound like it was small, but it was really cool, and it was kinda
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
same way where it was like, you were sat down and they could have made it really restrictive, but instead it was like, work as a team with your classmates and your friends. And it's like, okay, Jimmy's the pilot and Jimmy needs me in the engineering desk to create more
You
fuel or whatever. And it was like kind of this sense of
That's
almost like
wild.
you were on a team together, kind of
Yeah.
you
like why
just
kids play sports, that team
you
experience.
just unlocked a core memory, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of that, Astro Camp when I was a
Oh,
kid.
yeah.
Dude, that was one of the best experiences of my life. Like, and I was like, what, probably not even 10. I was probably
Yeah.
like 9 or 8 when I did this. But like, you were like away from your parents, which was really cool.
Yeah.
But you were like ours at least was in the mountains, somewhere on
Nice.
like Crestline or some area like that, like Idlewild, some like of California shit.
Yeah.
That's
But
up by like Big
you
Bear.
were
Yes.
you were you were immersed, yeah, but you were immersed in that experience from it was like every day was like, "Oh, like today you're going to." One of the things I remember that was one of my favorite activities was like they had like these 4 different platforms on like these little squares, and each one was a different material and was like this is like the surface of Mars. This is the surface of Venus. This is Earth. And like what you had to
Whoa.
do was get a water balloon and
That's
build a
sick.
thing around it to drop it and see if it could survive that surface's impact.
That's so cool.
That's
And it was
sick.
like and you were working as a team and, like, just getting to look down at, like, a square that was, like, this theme to look like Mars or whatever and being like, "I am building this to survive, and I get to try it. I get to see if it actually survives this, you know, crash landing," or whatever it would
Yeah.
be. Dude, and it was like that every night. Like, we did a night hike, but it was a night hike to go with see the stars, and you're in the woods, and there's nothing but silence, and it was like, "Oh, I'm here." Like, I am living like an astronomer as much as an 8-year-old can,
Yeah.
but it was the coolest fucking thing. Like,
Dude, think about how many, like, people that went on to work in some element of engineering from an experience like that,
Yeah.
and that would
For
just, like,
sure.
yeah.
ignited their passion in life, like, these things are important.
I even remember learning like basic basic elements or energy type concepts from it. Like there's one children's museum I think called the Children's Discovery Museum in San Jose,
Mm.
and I remember my mom took me there once when I was a child, like young, and uh there were so many different exhibits, and I remember it's probably changed a lot since then. But there were a lot of different exhibits that were essentially like appliances and the energies behind them.
Yeah.
So like there was a whole exhibit where you could make like a pretend pizza and stuff, and then it was a wood fired oven. So it was kind of teaching about the use of fire and
Oh,
heat.
dude, those
And
were
then
always so cool.
yeah, and there was a whole I remember there's a whole room that was just water, and how, you could make water travel through different pipes and flip around and go down, how
Yeah.
water works and its weight and everything. And then there's also an uh I think it's an air maze, but it's essentially, it looks like a giant hamster contraption, right? That like a
Like
hamster
one of
runs
the
through. So
tube
a lot
like
of different
closures.
tubes, yeah,
Yeah.
and connection pieces. And then you would put like a ball or pom pom or some fluffy thing into the entrance area, and it would blow it around the room, and you had to predict where it was going to go next based on how the
Oh,
air was
that's so
moving.
fucking
But,
cool.
like, it taught you, like, how wind works, like
Yeah.
the feel of wind, and just a lot of simple, like, concepts like that
Dude.
to do with the world where it was, like, a really interesting thing to learn. I think they also had, like, emergency vehicles that you could get inside of and stuff like that, but
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
were doing
that
it,
that
man.
that was the part that, like, stuck with me was, seeing the water just travel around whichever way you directed it and how that worked.
Wow, it's like they should have done that for the Journey of Water at Epcot.
I was about to say, speak of the devil.
I'm like,
But no, I
oh my
think,
god, and then
yeah, sorry, go ahead,
one
Tony.
more before we move on.
Yeah,
Just
no,
got
keep
we talked
going.
about this earlier. I gotta call it out. Just I'm not sure if it's still around. I hope it is. California Science Center. I don't
In
remember what the
LA,
name
it's still
was. I
there.
don't remember what
Yeah.
the name was. Um, it was a show on how the body worked, and they did it with like a 50-foot tall human robot, and it would like light
Whoa.
up different as they were
Oh, I think
talking
it
of
might still be there, dude. I think it is. I
that.
think I saw
If
that.
it, I hope it is because it was like it showed you how the body worked, but
You're
because it
talking
was
about the
such a
thing at
big,
Expo Park, right?
yeah. You know what I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about,
yeah, yeah.
dude? That thing was like you were so jazzed to learn about the human body because like you were just staring at this giant robot and it would like move and explain how its body worked and like
Bodyworks
I think
Theater, it is still there.
dude
Whoa.
that thing is like the best way to get a kid to like focus because it's a giant robot that talks and it's like
It's
transparent
Oh,
really
inside so
he's like an
part
operation robot. He's got, like, his
yeah and
open
so he
things.
he
Dude,
lights
this
up
looks
and
sick.
dude, it was amazing. And like as a kid, you're like, what the fuck? That's huge. And like you're locked in. You're like, dude, this thing is moving and it's
locked in.
talking. And it's like, oh, we're talking about its heart and its thing glows. It's glowing in the chest and it's showing you how the blood is transported to the body. And you're like, that was like edutainment to the max, right? It's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
spectacle. It's big. You're not going to see that anywhere else. You're in a big theater. It's got a story to it, and you're like, damn, this is. I mean, that thing I will never forget. The first time
No,
I
I
walked into
mean,
that theater, I was like, I'm glad it's still around. Good,
yeah.
California Science Center. Good on you.
They're really
Shit's still
cool. They're
free.
free, by the way.
They're
Yeah. If you
free.
live in
Yeah,
Oh
dude.
shit,
LA, in
that's
the
cool.
LA area, like it is. I mean, it goes without saying, it is certainly geared towards a younger audience,
It's
but it's
amazing
free
though.
and it's pretty cool. Like if you're interested in theming, entertainment,
Yeah.
and immersive elements and whatnot, like there's a lot of interesting stuff
And
there.
the
And the
the play
California,
aspect is huge. Yeah.
absolutely, and the LA Natural History Museum next door is also amazing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like that's a Expo Park, cool place. Um,
Damn.
LAFC baby.
yeah. Well,
Did you ever go to Gilroy Gardens when you were a
dude,
kid?
no, I
Never
didn't.
got
You
to. I've
wanted to talk
always
about
You
that.
wanted
really
to.
I
never?
know that's
So my
famous for the garlic festival, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So in the Bay Area, not too far south,
It's
I
kind
believe.
of by like Monterey-ish, Central Coasty
Lower
vibe,
Gilroy,
is it not?
California.
Am I wrong?
I mean, you might be a little wrong.
You know,
I'll look it
It's
up right
whatever.
now.
south of San Francisco, I can tell you that. South of San Jose where I grew up.
I'll tell you
You
right
look at
now.
a
Hold up.
map.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking at a map. I love maps. I love me some
Tell
maps.
'em where Gilroy, California is.
It is basically a bit east of Santa
Santa
Cruz. It's
Cruz.
by
Okay.
Santa
There you
Cruz.
go.
Yeah, it's right where
Gotcha.
Santa Cruz is. It's just
Yeah.
inland more. But
Yeah. So
It ain't that far from
Gilroy
Monterey.
there's a lot of, or at least there were a lot of garlic farms. So garlic is a very big crop there. And so there's a family owned, I don't know if it's still family owned, theme park there called Gilroy
I
Gardens.
think Cedar Fair bought them out for a while.
Yeah, maybe. But my family went, at least while we were still down there in San Jose before we moved up to Sacramento. My family was actually season pass holders to Gilroy Gardens.
That's
No
so
way.
fun, dude. I've always wanted to go. I would still
And
go as an adult right now.
oh, it's great. And so their mascot is a garlic. Uh, and everything there, like, there's definitely some edutainment aspects. Like, I believe there is a big floral area, etc.
There's
And but
like a monorail, right? Like a little
mhm,
thingy that goes through the floral thing. I've seen pictures of
yes,
that. Looks
yes.
so
So
cool.
there is that. So you get to go through like a greenhouse and stuff. Um, Besides that, most of the rides there are themed after either fruits or vegetables. So,
That's sick.
like, there's a teacups ride, but the teacups are garlics. So
You get inside
so
a
like
clove.
you're in a clove, and then there's a swing ride, like a Viking ship ride,
Yeah, the
whatever you
ship.
want to
Yeah.
call it. The ship swinging ride, but it's a giant banana. It's called Banana Split. So like there's everything is pretty much themed after a healthy food. And while it's, a theme park, a small theme park at that, a local theme park, but while it is a theme park, it is kind of encouraging you to eat those foods.
Yeah.
And they're all like berries and stuff. There's a great water ride, guys, like through a garden where you're just sitting. The boat is themed like a strawberry, I believe. Yeah,
It's
it's
like living with
wild.
the land as
Dude,
a
it
theme
sounds like
Yeah,
park?
Heimlich
yeah,
Choo Choo
it's
Train. Shout out Heimlich's Choo Choo
Shit,
Train.
shit.
It's a watermelon.
It's good. I don't want to put carrots in my eyes. Yeah, but yeah, it encourages you to eat those more or less healthy foods,
I
and
mean, it's like an agriculture
it's an
educational
agricultural
experience of
themed
sorts. Yeah.
theme park. There is like a, essentially an auto ride like Disneyland has,
Like
like similar
Autopia.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
similar like Autopia type thing. But if I remember correctly, there's two routes to it, and
Mhm.
one has cars from like the 30s through the 50s, and the other one has cars from like the 60s through the 70s or something like that. So that's
Gotcha.
actually different eras. And the more recent one, you go through like a car wash, whereas the other one has more old style scenes. So some slight theming there as well. But it as a kid, it's a pretty cool land, and that's no IP whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like there's no
They
IP
built
to that.
a full, a small, albeit, but like full theme park out of that.
Yeah.
Have you guys looked at Hershey Park at all in
Dude, we wanted
Pennsylvania?
to go my whole fucking life, yeah.
Yeah, so for the listener that's not
It's
aware,
the
this is a
only place
regional
Toby
theme
wants to go.
park in Pennsylvania, that's Hershey chocolate. It's, like,
Yeah.
from there. So next door to the theme park, which is all candy-themed rides, and I think it largely is kind of a coaster park. I think the
It's a
elements
coaster
of
park.
the
There's
education
a water
I
park
think they
too.
had a
has sort of.
Meow Wolf ride for a while,
Oh,
though.
really?
I think so, I'm gonna
Yeah, I
look that
think the
up.
educational aspect of the actual theme park has fallen to the wayside a bit, but next door is the chocolate factory, and there is a dark
Mm.
ride with, like, animatronic, like, chocolate bars and various different candies that takes you through the, like, candy making process.
How a chocolate is made? That's
Yeah,
crazy.
and it's
Oh, no,
like,
that's at Ellich Gardens, never mind.
okay, yeah. So
Elitch.
this thing next door, it's like a dark ride I think it's free inside the chocolate factory, which is next door to the theme park, which I said is mainly just coasters, but that dark ride to me is infinitely more interesting than the, like, Six Flags kinda off the
Wait,
shelf coaster park.
I'm sorry, Toby, did you say that the Meow Wolf ride is at Elitch Gardens?
Yep,
That's here.
That's
That's
in
in
it's called
Denver.
Denver.
Kaleidoscope. It's called Kaleidoscope.
Oh, you should go
Oh,
to
I've
that,
seen an
like.
ad for that, and I didn't even know that that's what it was. I'm gonna have to go do
Yeah.
that.
But
Wait till your wedding so we can all go together.
Yeah,
true,
okay.
true, we can all go.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
No, but
go,
I
come on,
think,
boys trip to Elitch. Okay, sorry,
I'm
continue.
so down, I'm so down. But yeah, that's like another kind of, it's not, I think the thing's been there a long time, but
Yeah.
it's a almost a more direct intersection of the theme park, like, it's quite literally a ride with those
Yeah.
elements. We talked about living with the land earlier, which I guess can give context to those who aren't freaks and know what that is. It is a boat ride at Epcot that takes you through, like, greenhouses and couple animatronic little scenes about the
No, I mean,
history
they
of
talk about,
agriculture.
like, how agriculture works. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
actually a very
No, it's great.
interesting ride.
It's incredible. Like, it's so much fun, but I'm just saying, like, people may not know off the top of their heads what that
Dude,
is.
Veggie the ride, come on.
Yeah.
It
The
makes me so
veggie
hungry all the time.
But no, I think you hit something. It's kind of more somber, Toby, where this is kind of a lost
Yeah,
sense, at least from the big hitters, if you wanna
that
take
was my
that.
next point is,
Yeah.
like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
Like,
I think
specifically
they
in the theme park space or all in
I mean,
all?
yeah,
yeah, I mean,
sure.
because I think museums are still gonna be wonderful little whimsical places, and I mean, kids' museums are not gonna go anywhere for a while. Kids have
Yeah.
to burn off steam, and those are edutainment to the max, and they still exist. But what the fuck happened to theme parks?
Yeah, I mean, if you yeah, when 80s, 90s, this was kind of a foundational part of it. Even opening day Disneyland, right? Like, It's a Small World is about the cultures of the world and world peace, and it's
World's Fair,
Yeah.
baby. Yeah,
as silly, as memed as it is at this point in time in 2025. That was the original idea, and it was extremely effective at that. It was like you said,
yeah.
Yeah.
Toby, it was built for a World's Fair. Like, it
Yeah, but
wasn't
you know what? So many of the rides we're talking that were edutainment or World's Fairs rides that were
right.
Yeah.
transported
Because
That's a
that
over.
used
good
to be
point.
the big communal
Thing.
Yeah.
thing was the World's Fair, where every country would show up and bring their immersive thing or their attraction or technology
Big
or
tech.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And maybe because those went away and just the world's more isolated
Well,
now, I'm not
I don't
sure.
know. Is it do parks just think that kids are stupid and need some fucking character for them to be interested in that? Is that what parents think? Like,
I don't
that's
know.
the cynic in me, but
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah. I think it's like focus groups, right? I think the intention and the intention was always this. I'm not naive, but it's so money, 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 money,
yeah,
return on profit. Most, check as many boxes of the consumer like profile you have in front of you that you can. Spending the money to build a living with the land, which I'm sure wasn't cheap. I mean, it's huge amounts of greenhouses
Yeah, it's a
versus
lot.
versus
It's a
building.
large attraction.
It's
It's
huge.
really
well, they use
surprisingly
it. They
big.
use the veggies.
Oh
They
Yeah,
yeah,
use them
yeah.
for the restaurants.
everything you eat in Epcot is grown there, which is awesome. Um, and maybe that's not true anymore, but at once upon a time that was the case.
It
Uh,
was. There's certain restaurants that still use it. I'm not sure
okay,
if every restaurant still uses it, but
but
it's
instead of
still.
doing that, you have Cosmic Rewind. Which there's nothing wrong with that. It's a great roller coaster, but I don't know, there's
Why?
something lost.
I mean, look at OG. What you want to talk OG? Like when this shit first opened, Body Wars,
World of
Horizons,
Motion,
World of Motion, Spaceship Earth, which is like still to this day one of those hopeful fucking rides. I love
it's
that
also one of the
thing.
best rides ever. It's incredible.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what is just the thought now that parents don't? Is it? Am I gonna? I hate to. Is it Disney adults too now? Is it that like these people are so attached to their fucking whatever character that they don't care about the other stuff anymore? Like
I mean, it's
so,
a
something
phenomenon.
went wrong
Yeah, yeah,
somewhere.
yeah.
So
I think it's a phenomenon in Universal as well. As the studio tour, the whole
There's a
original
certain
existence of
divide.
Universal Studios
how many
Hollywood
people
was
has that
that.
ride inspired? How many people has a studio tour inspired? I'm sure there were thousands
Countless,
Countless,
of
countless,
filmmakers who went on that for the
1,000.
first time and they were like, "This is magic."
yeah,
I mean, when I was a kid, it was magic. That's
yeah.
part. I mean, it's like, whoa, this is where this was made. This is how this was made. This is the magic it takes to make a fucking
And
movie.
they've almost moved away
There was
from
a
that.
shift with Universal where
Oh, it's gone. Movie
You
parks
know,
are dead, dude.
it turned from, like, how movies are made to putting you in the movie,
yeah, good
because
point.
like, all of their old attractions too, like, Twister and whatnot,
Yeah.
like, they
Special
show
effects
you, like, the
showcases.
cast in the queue, like, you're going in to film a scene was, like, a lot of the setup for a lot of their older, like, '80s
Oh,
and '90s
sure.
attractions,
Yeah,
like Twister, Backdraft, like, that era was all very much like, "This is the behind the scenes, you're on a set,"
yeah.
ET is still kinda like that a little bit,
Hmm.
like, there's part
Thank
of
you,
the queue
Steven.
where it's sort of like you're on a set, I don't know, it's kinda weird.
They've redone the film. It originally was that you were like, it was the sequel to the movie or something,
Yeah, some
but
shit
then
like
now
that. And
it's
now
more
now it's like you're
played like
helping
you're in
find you
it.
gotta rescue ET, get home or some shit like
Yeah,
that.
The
something like
Mummy
that.
ride, which is
Yeah.
still there, is supposed to be the set
Where's
of
my
the Mummy.
fucking coffee?
Yeah, so, like, that is still a remnant of that, but there was a certain point with Universal where it turned to putting you in the movie rather than
Potter. Potter. Did I mention Potter?
Sure.
Yeah,
Well, and obviously you had Simpsons and Transformers before that, but yeah,
yeah.
I mean, so it's not
But
I don't
not
know
in
that
Florida.
you can pin it on the weird cultish nature of fandom. Like, maybe to some extent, but
I'd
I think it's
actually
just a
argue
shift.
Jurassic Park before that, Toby.
Oh, yeah,
Jurassic
true.
Park
Good
was never
point.
about
Good point.
filming.
Yeah, that was like the early '90s that came out, that
Yeah,
Yeah,
ride
that's fair.
opened. Or
Okay,
not,
and
it
touche.
didn't, like,
Spencer.
late '90s, but because that's when the movie opened, but,
I don't know, man.
um
Yeah.
I don't. don't know if, especially with Disney, the cult of fandom is fucking strong, man.
For sure. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
Like,
it goes
really
without
strong.
saying.
Those guys, I mean, and again, I have a bunch of classic Disney animation merch, so I can't say anything.
Sure.
But I'm not worshiping a damn character. Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't. When did this phenomenon happen? Where like, you know, it wasn't just a family, and I'm not even. I'm not shitting on anybody's thing, but like, where it was like about, oh, what merch can I get? What princess can I get a picture with? What's the special edition thing? And not like enjoying my time at the park or doing something unique and new. Like
I think just the rise of
that's
consumerism, dude. I think it's a reflection
Yeah.
of society in
yeah.
general. There's not an interest in learning or
IP began
experiencing. Yeah. But
IP began crossing, I don't know, like medium boundaries. Like think about like Fallout is a video game and now it's a show and now it's going to be a haunted house at Universal. Like that wouldn't have happened in the 60s, that like a property like that could transcend that many
No, and if
levels
it
of
did, it would have broken the world.
right.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
like
it
it
did
was
in
like
1977. That's when it changed.
Yeah.
That's when it broke the world.
And Jaws, like you saw Jaws and then it became a ride,
Yeah.
etc. But like it, and same thing with Indiana Jones, King
Star
Kong, like,
Wars,
but
yeah.
there was a certain point where you figured out that these IPs could be recognized if you put the people in it. And then it's only gotten more so. Like think about how many things are like a book and a movie and a video game and some sort of attraction somewhere in a
Everyone's
theme
always
park.
trying
Like
to create the next universe, right? And
yeah,
I think because escapism is never going to cease to be important to humans. I think
no, it
right.
escapism
shouldn't
is
be. I love
vital.
escape. It's our
Um,
career.
but there used to be, I think as is the case with everything in this industry, it's money motivated, right? There wasn't, you could make more money with a thrill ride
Yeah.
set themed to Jurassic Park, for example, than you could, you know, well, here's a great example. When Islands of Adventure opened, and it's still technically there, but it's a disaster, the Dino Discovery Center. That's a whole
Yeah.
educational, like, mini
Dude, that
children's museum.
I
Yeah,
love that's one of my favorite things at Islands
and
is
they've let
that
it
thing.
go to die, like, it's really janky now,
Oh, there's stuff from the '90s there that has not been touched since
but
like
it was like there was a
1990
different,
whatever, 9.
but
Yeah.
there was a certain amount of effort where it was like, "Okay, if we're
Yeah.
gonna do this, we should also, have this element to it to entice." And now, not that I'm not, this is not hating on it, this is my favorite roller coaster in the world, but, like, Velocicoaster.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, how do we, it's just a very big
Yeah.
shift, and I think it's a reflection of.
It doesn't teach you about velociraptors at
No.
all.
Also, it's if it
There's-
it is the most inaccurate representation of a velociraptor of all time.
Dude, it's
I'm
okay.
like,
They're friends. They love Chris Pratt. It's okay. That's how
that's
dinosaurs
true.
really
hey Blue.
worked.
Listen,
Hey
man,
Blue.
I love paleontology. It's like one of my other random passions, and
Dude,
velociraptors were
Brea
the
tar
size
pits,
of
baby.
turkeys.
Fucking
They were
love Brea
so
tar pits.
small, and La Brea Tar Pits is amazing. And they have a cool
Dude, I
immersive thing
went there
inside
once and I
too.
couldn't find the tar pits.
It's the whole thing.
How'd you
What do
miss
you
the
mean?
smell,
You're
brother?
you're
So
walking
so
on tar.
I have a defense. The Uber dropped us off at the other side of the park. There are some tar pits in that area of the park near where
That's
the actual
true.
museum
There are
building
some
is.
off the side,
So,
yeah.
but I'm expecting what you always see in the movies, like the big tar pit with the fake
The mammoth,
dinosaurs and stuff
yeah.
and the mammoth. So I'm like, where the fuck is that? And so we're like, I'm with some coworkers. We're walking around like, and like, really, I'm not exaggerating. Like the tar pits on this area of the park are like basically mud puddles. like,
No, they're small,
like,
and they're like, because those are the
yeah,
ones they're actively excavating. Like, the 2
yes,
by the actual museum building are, like, the historical ones that are
yeah.
fenced off. The other ones are, like, workspaces, essentially.
Yeah, and so we're walking around there, it's late, like, the museum's closing, we're like, "Oh, well, maybe it's in the museum, maybe they built a building around it, I don't know," but no, because the museum's closing, so we're walking away, we're like, "Well, this was just a bunch of mud, and I didn't learn anything," and
No, there's,
Los
like, 2
Angeles
so
mud
we
enormous
pits.
so we
ones.
got in the Uber to go because we had to catch a show, so we got in the Uber, and then we went took a turn, took another turn. There it is, passing right by. It's like, fuck, that's the
There it
tar pit.
is.
It's
Yeah.
right there. So- but honestly, all you
Yeah.
really need to do is drive by that thing. You get the idea.
Inside is cool. I would recommend
yeah.
going inside. They have like an animatronic
Yeah.
saber-toothed
Going in the
cat and
tar pit.
It's
stuff.
so cool. It's so cool. Just
Oh, yeah,
what
jumping
I
in
don't
the
know.
tar.
I don't.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't. I don't know what the fuck happened. Yeah, it's consumerism. I guess it's just like but it's also just not giving credit to kids. I think kids will
Also
still.
true. I think it's not giving credit to
Yeah.
people in general. You know,
Yeah.
it's you want to. How can we thrill you and shake you around and not engage you
My
on a
God.
different level? You know,
The Rockies just beat the Dodgers.
no
My
way,
God.
Let's go.
Yeah.
no way. That's
Anyway,
hilarious. But no, I mean, like I think to sum up the conversation, like theme parks have certainly shifted away from that, but it has led to a lot of really awesome things in museums. Not even just kids museums, like theme park level technology
yeah.
being implemented
Yeah.
in museums. Like another example. I could talk all day about all these examples that museums are. I love them,
I
but
love museums too, man.
the
You
Field
talk all you want.
Museum, yeah, the Field Museum is a very
In
very
Chicago.
famous, natural history
Fucking
Yeah,
dude,
museum
that's a
in
that
great one.
place is
Chicago.
that is one of
Have
the
we actually
coolest
all three
natural
of us been
history.
there? That's
It's
cool.
Dude,
my
that's like one of my
fave.
that is
Yeah,
like
it's dope.
that is one of my favorite museums ever to
Have
exist on
you?
this
When
earth.
have you last gone? Have you seen what they did to the Sioux?
2016.
Okay, so it's been a while.
It was
So
probably
Yeah.
that was around the time that I went.
okay, so I went
Yeah.
in probably 2023.
Wow.
And so Sioux, for those who don't know, is the most complete Tyrannosaurus Rex fossil that ever has been discovered. It is like enormous, and it's
It's
fully
massive.
assembled, and like it's hard to grasp the scale of what an animal like that would look like until you're next to it. But what they've done with that space is the whole exhibit is called like eons or generations or something, and you basically walk back from modern day through the eras of the earth, and so each room is like different projections and immersive things that are like you're traveling back in time, and you
Yeah.
get to the
Like in
Sioux
that
room.
space, right? Like
Yeah,
this is
it's
what this area looked like
yes, the whole
then.
area
Yeah.
of the museum. It's like a
Guess I'm
whole
going to
branch.
Chicago.
It's so cool. But when you get to the Sioux room, all of the walls are projected and alive as what the earth looked like then. So there's
Oh,
grass
dude.
blowing, there's like trees, there's other like you hear like different noises and the dinosaur sounds, and they project behind Sue using kind of an optical illusion, the fossil itself, the
Yeah.
skin on her and the feather and like what she would have looked like as a living animal, and it looks like it's like breathing, and it's like the coolest thing in the world. And like
Yeah.
for me being 23 when I was there, I was like, that's what a dinosaur would look like,
Dinosaur!
yeah. But it's using technology that we use all day,
Yeah,
projection
and
mapping,
Yeah.
to create that experience. Imagine being a kid and seeing that.
that's what I was just thinking. I would
You
have
know?
shit my britches.
And it's
When I
something you
was
can't grasp, like how big an animal like that would have been, how different the world was. Like that's endless fascination for a kid, for anyone's mind, really.
I'm just gonna say I was just in DC. I think I talked about this and going to all the museums. There were still tons of kids having a great fucking time.
And they should, and that makes me happy.
And so like, I'm just gonna, and I know Lane, you had a point. I'm gonna let you do it, but I do think that the parks are feeding into the wrong part of this all. I think on the theme park side, it's still there. The kids will still love this.
Sure.
But when you have, I'm sorry, I'm gonna call them out. When you have like, a bunch of adults lining up for fucking hours for a Figment popcorn bucket, you know, or you have adults who are paying $150 a night, adults, not kids, to do Oogie Boogie Bash, take pictures of their favorite characters. Why would you invest in anything that is remotely educational or intellectual when you can just get a bunch of adults who just will pay for be disgusting human beings and fight each other for a goddamn piece of merch or to meet their favorite character? Why bother? You have that fan base, you don't need to do it. And so
There's
that's,
something to
and
be said for that, certainly.
that's I mean, it's like, yeah, why is it even? And so, like, I think maybe that's
Why
also
would
part of
they
the IP
try?
thing.
Yeah, why
Yeah,
would they try?
why bother? The adults aren't going to care. Like, you're going to get the sickos who grew up on that, but like, and then that creates a problem because then those kids are never going to get to experience what the fun of of like education and the Disney level
Dude,
production could
the
look like.
perfect example you made, Figment. Figment was supposed to
Oh,
be,
dude,
in that
yeah,
original attraction, a manifestation of the power of
imagination.
imagination and
Yeah,
the human capacity for creating things. Like Figment is literally created by the dream finder, right? There's a whole lore to this. but
Yeah.
do people even engage with that anymore, or is it just Purple Dragon? Purple
Purple
Dragon I want on
Dragon,
my
and
mug or
I
my
can resell this
t-shirt.
on eBay, you know,
Resell this popcorn bucket for $100.
or
Yeah.
like I have to have it because this influencer told me I have to have this, and oh my god, Figment is Epcot, and it's like, yeah, dude, Figment used to be. I never got to go on the original
No, and then one
Journey.
now's
None,
horrible, but
but it's like that used to be, and that was like giving kids credit, and it's so funny because you do talk to people who got to do it and grew up now, and
and people that got to
those
do it, they'll
original.
cite it as, like, their favorite attraction of all
Dude,
time.
people who got to do Horizons
Yeah,
or World of Motion, they're like, "That was my favorite shit growing up." That
yeah,
those people, those memories are there. So it's not like when you're a kid, you don't appreciate it. That's still
not at all.
really interesting. That's still really cool. So,
Yeah,
like, it's just like now it's like, I guess your assumption is, well, we can have more brand loyalty maybe if we,
synergy, I suppose, yeah.
force feed them whatever, the Encanto house or some random fucking character, and then they'll grow up and they'll come to our events as adults and want to take picture. It, it's just like we used to have something so cool and
Yeah,
so precious, and you were bringing this up earlier, and I think it's great. I'm going on a rant.
no,
Um,
please, please.
Do it.
but I think with the tech we have now, museums are going to see something new. I am so excited for the Museum of Narrative Art opening, the sci-fi one they're opening here.
Yeah, isn't that the one George
Like,
Lucas is funding?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah.
if that is like a true, like, love, a love letter to narrative art and storytelling, and they put the money in you have to do, that's gonna, wow kids from now until forever. Like,
Yeah,
I just
absolutely.
where did we start thinking kids are morons and that they have to have a bright color or a character for like, I get it's consumerism, but, like, at the same time, we're all creatives, we all have the power to do something, and we just play along. We're like, "Yeah, okay, whatever, I
Yeah.
got to work for this company. Guess I'll build Spider-Man."
Dude, we all gotta eat. We all need our income, right? It's hard to fight the good fight in the world today, so to speak.
Yeah, it's just it's because again, if you talk to people today and they're like, "What the fuck was Figment? What the fuck was, all these classic educational rides?" And I'd be like, "Okay, you have a point." But they remember them so fondly. There's a
Right.
reason Sesame Street is still around to this day and is
Dude,
a staple.
absolutely, because Jim Henson was a genius.
Well, because he understood like kids and understood
Yeah.
like, hey, you can teach people things
I mean, this
and
is a
still
real
be fun.
debate going on in, like, the animation world, right, with kids' cartoons, is people get so frustrated when, it's just fart jokes versus, like, stop treating kids like they're dumb, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
engage with them. Kids aren't dumb.
And museums, I think, will, with the tech we have, continue to wow people,
Well,
and
I mean,
they
like
will
I
be
said,
the
dude,
last
like
bastion.
yeah,
Yeah.
like the Sue thing is one of the coolest uses of projection mapping I've ever seen. Um,
Yeah.
and I will never forget that, and I was 23 years old, and I felt like a little kid looking at that? So I think the on a hopeful note, optimistic note, the future is bright for kid centers, museums, different things like
Yeah,
that,
no, those are gonna
using
thrive.
this technology because you can create those same core memories and fascinate people, in a different way without needing to throw them around.
And the
Um,
Yeah,
the
you don't need thrills.
technologies the technology side of it's like really keeping a lot of that stuff current, I feel like.
yeah,
Like
that's a
when
good
I was
point.
in a couple of years ago, we went to Scandinavia, and there were some like really cool like Viking museum exhibits and stuff like
You mean
that we
Frozen?
did. Uh-huh.
Was Olaf there?
Frozen the Viking? Yeah, it was
Which
the
Was
country
was
Olaf
did
O
you go
did
exhibit.
to exactly? Was it Norway or Finland?
I went to Finland, and then which we did a couple museums there, a lot of like Russian crossover
Oh,
and
interesting.
stuff like that, which is really interesting because they're right next to each other.
Guess I don't think
And
about that, but
then
that's true.
yeah, yeah, like a lot of the food is like definitely inspired by Russian and vice versa, which is kind of interesting. But
Yeah.
and then we also went to Denmark, we went to Copenhagen, and then we also went to Stockholm in
Oh,
Sweden. So
Sweden. Yeah, I was like, "What's the other country?" Sweden. That's the one.
there's a couple more besides that, but yeah.
Yeah, but I think Iceland is technically
Norway and
included
Iceland.
in
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, but there, so Stockholm, awesome city, like first of all,
Yeah.
but like we did some cool museum exhibits, just mostly history based and etc. In Finland, and also when we were in Copenhagen, there's a really cool Viking museum that we went to. Not the one that's like an hour away from Copenhagen, if you're familiar with the area for some reason, but There was one in Copenhagen, and that's the one we went to. The famous one is not in Copenhagen, and we didn't have time to go see that. But we went to the one in Copenhagen. Very cool. You get to sit in a ship, and there's projection mapping all around you that shows you what it would have been like to sail at that time, etc. It
Mhm.
takes you through the whole
That's sick.
life of a Viking, like a real Viking that existed. Takes you through their entire life,
That's
etc.
so cool, man. Like
The
that
coolest.
yeah.
Yeah, you like pretend you're rowing and stuff. It's fun.
Just
Quickly
Lane,
you're tired. Yeah, you're
bunch of kids, and Lane is there. Like
Lane's
for
big
context, if
Viking
anybody,
ass with his
Lane and
helmet
Spencer
on.
are Lane and Spencer are very tall human beings.
We're
So I
both
just imagine,
6'4". Yes, it's true.
yeah, just imagine Lane sitting there hunched over a bunch of like little Danish kids, you know, and he's just like yelling.
Dude,
He's like,
Dana, are
Lane's
you
got like
kidding
a
me?
full
The
like
kids up there are
bird
like
thing,
as tall
like
as I am,
stoic
dude.
from How to Train Your
That's
Dragon,
fair.
like rowing with his hat.
Yeah.
I'm just
So
small.
some really cool stuff up there. But in Stockholm, we did a couple really cool things, and one of them was a Viking themed bar that was in a
Oh,
basement.
cool.
But it was like you step down into this basement, you check in, and it is like you're in, you know, a lodge or whatever you called it back then, and they have all different types of grog on the menu from different eras, and just a really cool way of theming a lot of mulled wine, etc. And when you give them your name, they ask you where you're from, and then when they show you to your table, they announce, you know, for me it was like, you know, Calder from the distant land of Colorado. And so like they
That's such a
announced
South Park
like you
bit
would
right
have
there.
when
Here, cheers.
yeah,
thing,
exactly. And
yeah.
everybody's like, yeah, and shaking their little mead goblets and everything. It really cool. But
Yeah.
there's another one, so you know, themed to that area, and then there was another one that was themed to like medieval times, which was very similar aspect, but also themed bar medieval times. Kind of feels like you're learning a little bit,
Yeah, sure.
even though you're just there to have a drink.
I mean, you're engrossed in a culture that
Yeah.
is an educational
Yeah,
experience of
I
sorts.
was about
During a
to ask.
specific time period too.
Yeah.
I was about to
yeah.
ask a question. Is this just American kids? Is this an American
I
thing?
can't say. I don't know.
I can't say. I mean,
'Cause
I was
like-
also
'cause,
getting
like, I-
drunk, so that's not for kids.
No. But like, I feel like Argentina still has a good amount of. I mean, we're you know, but like in Europe too, I've seen a bunch of
Europe
really good
values
museums, and
their
and,
museums,
and
for
kids want to
sure.
learn more.
Yeah.
Even in Canada, I've seen cool. Is it just America? Is it just like our kids are fucking stupid, or people think we're fucking stupid? Like, I mean, to be
Just
fair, we're a
low
country
effort,
I think
right?
it's just this is what we're interested in spending money on. But-
that and like, you know, we can't. We're afraid to teach history, but
Well, we're
the
afraid
coolest,
to-
the
to
coolest thing I
sancti-
did
Sorry, go
there,
Yeah.
if I may, is
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
the
sorry, we'll get
Vasa.
back on this.
The coolest thing I did there in Stockholm was the Vasa Museum. Have you guys heard of it?
The Vasa
No,
ship.
what is
that
that?
what it is?
The Vasa ship. So it is the only, let me see, where did it say that? I believe it is the only, I want to say 16th century ship that has been resurrected and reconstructed, I believe.
It's like a Viking ship.
No, it's a massive 64 cannon ship.
Oh my god, like pirates.
17th century ship that the
Swedish
this is
warship,
direct
it
from
says.
Google, so you know it's true.
Yeah.
A maritime museum in Stockholm, Sweden. The museum displays the only almost fully intact 17th century ship that has ever been salvaged, the 64-gun warship Vasa that sank on her maiden voyage in 1628.
Whoa.
So this thing sank outside of the bay there in Stockholm, and they, you know, resurrected it. It opened in 1990, according to this. So a lot of technology obviously went into just that. And you guys can look up photos of this thing. It's fucking massive. Like, it is impossible to understand the scale unless you're right there next to it. It
That's
is
sick, dude.
insanely
Guys.
large. And like you can even go all the way to the bottom where the hull is, you know, at the very bottom of the ship. And then they have the lifeboat that was also salvaged next
Yeah.
to it. And you're just like, the lifeboat is fucking huge. You know, like it is impossible to grasp the scale of this thing unless you go there. And besides that, like, if that wasn't impressive on its own, and that's something that is purely like the technology of our modern age being able to do that, but
Yeah.
they've introduced other exhibits, and the coolest one that I like they had basics like what life was like on board and things like that. And what the shipyard was like, what working on the ship when it was being built was like. There's one called In Life and Death. This is an exhibit there, and through modern DNA
Valhalla?
through yeah, through modern DNA technology and all of that stuff that I don't understand, they were able to reconstruct what several of the people that died on the ship looked like.
Whoa.
So
Whoa.
you actually can, and they built them like, I don't know, like wax museum-esque models of
Yeah.
people. So you literally can see them standing in front of you, which is wild. Like they have what they were likely wearing when they died, what they had with them when they died. This is in 1628. That's not like, oh, the Titanic. Yeah, we were able to
No.
recover, this and that. Like this was so long ago.
That's
uh,
crazy.
and yeah, like they have a couple there that died in each other's arms. A woman there that they somehow know wore like a red hat, which is insane.
This red
Like,
hat
but that's
lady, I just knew.
yeah, but that's like where the technology has come into that they can actually do that, and it is insane to see somebody that died that long ago in 1628,
Yeah,
standing in
be like
front of
almost
you.
brought
That's
back to
crazy.
life. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
crazy.
Like that was long. Like probably the before that was like great moments with Mr. Lincoln, and that dude, you know, died in 1865. Like this was 1628, and that person standing in front of you. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Can actually see, you feel that effect almost of like, wow, that actually
Yeah.
feels a lot more real
These were
than
like
just me
real.
walking through here.
Yeah. It's you're reading a
Yes,
textbook versus seeing
were
it,
they
you know?
tall?
Yeah, yeah, dude, like me. Everybody over there just looks like me. They're all tall
Dude,
and
that would be
blonde.
so out of place. I could probably like it'd be like
It's
a
like
little jungle gym, just riding on people's backs, like wee little
it's the
monkey.
only place I've
You
only
can
ever
walk around on
truly
my
felt home.
shoulders. I'll carry
Dude, oh
you.
my god, if we go, I'm gonna go with one of you guys so I can ride on your shoulders,
Oh my
and I
god.
can. Otherwise, I won't be able to see anything. I'll just be seeing butts the whole time.
True.
But yeah, that's one of the most immersive things that I've probably ever done on a trip,
Lane, that's
at
the
the
most
very least.
passionate I've heard you speak about
Dude, that was
anything.
I
sick.
know.
You really went
A
into
big
it.
You
a
went.
big ass ship.
They should invite you for free. They should invite
They
us all out
should.
for free after
I
that.
would I would love that.
I gotta go
Yeah,
see
you
this
want to
ship
fly
now.
10
I
hours?
gotta, dude. I'll go
Yeah.
to see a big ship.
Dude, that's awesome.
See a
Yeah,
big ship, I'll fly.
I'll fly to see a big ship and see some tall
Now,
1600s people.
to
Make me feel small
something
and
that I
insignificant.
something that I'd like to circle back to is you guys shitting on theme parks and how they don't do that anymore. I would argue that some do.
Which
I
ones?
would argue that you still go to Knott's Berry Farm and can learn about the
I was gonna
Wild
say Knott's.
West.
I knew I was gonna fucking say Knott's. Yeah, Knott's. Knott's is his own
They
thing. Knott's is,
totally
is the star child.
Yeah, you go
We
to
love you,
Knott's Berry
Knott's.
Farm and they have a live actor at the
Yeah, Knott's
smithy,
kicks ass. Yeah,
like showing you how
fine.
what being a blacksmith was about.
Dude,
That's
In a
fair.
building where most of
Knott's.
that wood was reclaimed from actual ghost towns. So
Dude, yeah, yeah.
I mean,
like that
Calico is a real
yeah.
town
Yeah.
outside of
Okay,
somewhere
okay,
in
but outside of
California.
Knott's,
And
which
That's
other
fair.
ones?
but think about that. Knott's could have replaced that blacksmith with an animatronic or something. They never
Because Knott's is
have. It's
awesome.
a real
Because Knott's is
person
awesome.
that's
Because
teaching you how this worked.
dude, best
Like that's
example.
yeah.
Best example. Great. They do not compromise on edutainment. Goddamn. Lane, yes. 100% fine. I'll give you Knott's.
Thank you.
Okay, but
Thank
what
you.
else? Give me another park besides
I
Knott's.
No,
mean,
that's it. I
yeah.
can go I can go the opposite direction. Like think about Spencer how like Six
We love you,
Flags
Knott's.
near Six Flags near us up in the Bay
Oh, the
Area.
Discovery Kingdom, right? Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Well, what I was gonna say is it used to be Marine World when
Mm.
we were kids, and
Mhm.
it was all about sea life, and that was a big focus of the park. Like it always had coasters because it's fucking Six Flags, but like a big focus of the park was wildlife. They've always had that like greenhouse exhibit there too, Spencer,
Oh yeah,
and
the
things
Oh,
like
they have a
that.
butterflies.
Like
greenhouse
Yeah.
exhibit
They
yeah,
had like butterflies.
at a
Yeah.
a
Six Flags
lot of
park?
it, yes,
Mhm.
a
Is
lot
it
of
still
it
there?
was about wild. I don't
I'm
know.
not sure.
I haven't been there in a long time, but like a lot of it was themed around wildlife. Then it became Discovery Kingdom, and they had I don't know a giraffe or some shit there. I don't know.
Yeah, they had like stuff
Like
stuff they
they
shouldn't
kind
have.
of
They had like
they
elephant
almost
and
started
stuff.
widening it where it's like we're not just marine life anymore, you know. And then they just I feel like then that
We
was
have a
nobody
giraffe.
was going for that anymore.
Mhm.
But I don't know, maybe that's just how I interpreted it. Around the time, you know, the Tony Hawk roller coaster came out, I was like, this ain't really about edutainment anymore.
What do you mean? That's what
Yeah.
you gotta. I mean, you have to learn how Tony Hawk shreds. To be fair, that is its
Listen,
You're
if it
own.
was a
right. Yeah, it
legitimate, like,
teaches you how he shreds
ride
gnar.
based around, like, the feeling of skateboarding, that'd be sick. It was just a spinning coaster.
Yeah, it was just a spinning
Um,
coaster.
but no, I mean, that's a good point. I think I don't know if this even counts
SeaWorld.
because it was built no, 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 no. But some elements, yes, but no. I was gonna talk about Animal Kingdom, I guess, but that's, like, older, right? That's like a relic of
That's
yeah,
90s.
yeah,
Yeah.
98. It's a
So like the
Still the
safari.
most intact edutainment park, probably still to
for
this
sure.
day,
I mean, the
by
whole
a
thing is
major
about
Yeah.
company.
ecology and conservation and for sure.
Fucking love
And it's
that
my favorite
place.
ride or my favorite park in the world because of that, but,
It's magical. It's a
you know,
magical place.
how long is that gonna last? Who can say? They haven't done it
Orchid.
yet.
What do you mean? You get to learn from the Encanto house and the Indiana Jones adventure and whatever other IP they decide to throw in there.
Dude,
It'll be
it's such
really
a bummer, like, obviously dinosaur, you know, whatever you wanna say about the ride, but, like, that queue was educational. It had, like, actual fossils and stuff. Like, it was
Yeah.
legitimately educating you on that before you got on the ride, you know? Like, and they got rid of it.
dude.
Shame.
Yeah, the I mean, the queue was like a museum. It was fucking
For
awesome.
sure. Absolutely.
Spencer, I still think about when you and I hiked all the way to the dinosaur queue and we got up there and got in line and this old man with a cane came up and was really struggling in the heat, sweating
Yeah.
bullets, and came into the shade just to see the massive line in the 99-degree temperature and said, "Oh, Jesus." It's like I am never gonna forget being in the dinosaur queue and hearing, "Oh,
I
Jesus."
just heard defeat.
Defeat in the
That's
dinosaur queue.
most Disney parks these days. I think that's
Yeah.
a great encapsulation of what going to a Disney park is these days.
Yeah. Oh,
But no,
fuck.
man, I think this is most people are unaware of how like impactful and influential this edutainment is and also how much of a pillar of our industry it is. And I don't think people think about it that way, but it is, you know. That body exhibit, Toby, you talked about looks so cool and you know, that was obviously a biologist and a doctor and people work on that, but also people like us worked on that and came up with
Yeah.
Yeah.
even clever ways to do that. And
You
so
know
I
how many
think, you
people
know,
work
pretty
on
cool.
in our industry work on presidential libraries and
Of
museums all the time?
course. Yeah. So, you
Mm.
know, it's not just theme parks, you know, and there's
Really
cool
cool.
cool things being done, and I wish that that element wasn't lost on the major parks, but also
It's still alive. Keep it
Their
going. That's all that
loss.
matters.
Yeah.
yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I've anybody ever go to the I never got to go. I really wanted to. I know, I used to work at a company that did a big show out there, the World War II museum in New Orleans.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
No.
I heard that
I
one did,
haven't
like, a
been, but
huge
I've heard it's
projection map
cool.
thing. Yeah, yeah, I guess you're right. I guess this still exists, people. It's not dead. Epcot's alive and well, just not at Epcot, just at regional museums and things where you can go and learn and be wowed at the same time.
Yeah.
Just save your money and go to 10 museums instead of going to one park.
Just go to a museum. It's worth your
They're so
time.
cool.
They're
I
so
love
cool.
museums.
Yeah. But
Or
do
an
we
aquarium. They're also fucking cool.
also aquariums, yeah.
Or an
Yeah.
ethical zoo. That's not a piece of shit.
AZA accreditation is important. Look for that. Association of Zoos and Aquariums accreditation. Don't go to Joe
Usually
Exotic's
usually the good
place.
usually ethical zoos tend to have pretty good theming because they're trying to be
Yeah,
ethical to the animals. So,
absolutely. Recreate the environment for sure. Don't go
exactly.
somewhere that doesn't do that. But yeah, I mean, I think that was a really cool conversation.
That
But
was awesome.
Yeah,
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 absolutely.
it made me really sad and really happy at the same time.
yeah, it's kind of melancholy.
Yeah, I almost feel oddly hopeful, which I didn't expect to feel.
Yeah, me too.
It's there. Hey, it's only getting better. Just go to museums. Take your kids to museums. You may think they're gonna be bored. They're gonna love it. Please
Yeah.
take your
Yes.
kids to museums, and they're free most of the time.
Or they're like
Or
15
they're lower
bucks.
cost for families
They're
or
not
whatever.
$100 a person, you know?
So
Yeah.
what park is still $100 a
Or
person?
yeah, that's even lowballing it for sure.
Yeah,
But
but
Jeez.
yeah, go to museums. Go learn.
Yeah.
Make your kids smart so they like weird things, and then make weird things as adults and save the world. Yay.
If you want your
Save the
kids to
world.
turn out like us, take them to a
High bar.
museum. Real high bar.
They'll go on a rant about a ship in Sweden, and it's gonna
And
be great.
they will get really sweaty passionate about a ship in Sweden.
Sweaty passionate. I fucking love that. All right, so should we do we move on to cool thing of the week? I don't know. Let's talk
Yeah,
about cool
let's do
thing of
it.
the week.
Yeah,
All
you got
right.
I'll
one to
start.
load it up,
Yeah,
Toby?
Toby, you start.
It's not a cool thing of the week. It's just kind of a little sad thing. Yesterday Sunday was the last day of operation for Rip Ride Rocket at
I did
Universal
see
Studios
that.
Florida.
Shit.
I know none of us.
How
The
will I go
coaster that
on?
looks so good, and then you go on, and you're like, "Thank God it's closing."
I gotta be honest, I've never been on it.
Really? You
Didn't
never
care
did
to.
it?
Lane,
Oh,
Dare
Toby
to.
dragged me on it.
Lane.
Don't feel bad. I didn't want to fucking ride that thing.
It's a brain rattler, but it is.
Yeah, I'm
It's
good.
it's fun.
It was
It's weird that
it
it's
was
there.
it was their weird like response, I think, to Rock and Roller Coaster
Oh,
at Hollywood
absolutely,
Studios.
absolutely.
They were like, "Well, they did a really cool indoor coaster. I guess we can just put music on it."
It's got that weird little tunnel section
Yeah,
and a
Yeah.
little brick
So,
wall you went through for some reason.
it's
I
just
mean,
like a
it
part of a
was
warehouse.
Yeah.
It's like-
I mean, it was. You were literally just you would just see it going off during Horror Nights. That was really cool.
The
It was one
lighting
of
was
those things
nice.
where it was like it was cool for the sight lines and nothing else. It was like
Yeah.
great to look at because it just was in the park and it gave it some kinetic energy. And then every
Yeah.
time it was like a super long line and there was nothing in the line but like Six Flags theming. And then you got on and you're like, oh yeah. And then you were like, oh no, I'm actually on this thing. And then yeah. So rest in peace. You were
Then
a
he died.
ride. You were definitely a coaster. You did fit that criteria. And you had a cool color scheme, and it was fun to see you go off during Horror Nights. So raise
Pour one out
raise a
for Rip
thing,
Red
pour one
Rocket.
out for Rip Ride Rocket, guys. You will not really be missed, but
Nope,
yeah,
not at
No.
all.
I'm done. That was it.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
R.I.P. Rip Ride Rocket.
That was easy.
Rip
Alright.
Rip Ride Rocket.
Rip Ride Rocket.
Rip Rocket Ride.
Rip Rocket Ride. Lane, what did
Yeah.
you see?
So this last weekend was Midsummer Scream, boys.
Oh,
Did you guys
yeah.
check out any of the stuff? There's some cool stuff. There's always some cool stuff there, but I feel like it's
I wish
honestly
I
one of
went.
those lesser known shows. So Midsummer Scream, for those of you who don't know, is a yearly expo
Convention.
con-ish
Yeah.
almost.
We could do a whole episode
convention.
on this, honestly. It's
Yeah,
so cool.
and essentially it's where a lot of the haunt and haunted house related folks, both at a small and a large scale, like Universal's there, etc. But you've
It's
also got
Comic
smaller
Con for
players.
haunts.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
and that's where a lot of these companies, much like Comic Con, reveal what they're doing that year. So
Really cool.
this summer was kind of weird. It's usually in July. It was in August this time, so it was like late,
it was late
summer
for this
Scream.
year.
But yeah, late summer Scream. But a lot of really cool stuff came out. I did see some footage of the like a little immersive Freddy Fazbear thing that they did, where it was like part of the diner.
Yeah, it wasn't Art the
Pizza place,
Clown like
whatever.
walking around too or something.
I think so. And they did have a Terrifier room that actually looked pretty damn
Oh, cool.
cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they showed off the makeup, which is gonna be. I don't know how they're gonna do that on a Horror Night scale because you can't put a mask for that thing. That's so makeup heavy. So we'll see. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens there.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of the small props were pretty cool. On like they had I think like, I don't know if it's from the games or not, or the movie, but I think for the Freddy Fazbear, the Five Nights at Freddy's, they had like a little animatronic cupcake looking guy.
Oh yeah.
I don't-
He's from
yeah,
both.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I forget his name, but there's there's a cupcake.
Yeah,
I-
I only
I
ever
could give
played the
two
first
shits
game.
about- I didn't play any.
I saw
I
the
didn't play any,
movie.
and that line is gonna suck so bad. It's gonna smell.
It's gonna be bad. It's gonna
Gotta
smell.
smell.
But yeah, I don't know. I always get excited around this time because it means that
Yeah.
Halloween's almost here.
Absolutely. The one year I went, I saw the HHN panel and Murdy came out and he brought
Oh, yeah.
this year they brought the Universal Orlando guy, which I'm a bummer I missed. But them both doing it's pretty cool and kind of comparing coasts and creative process and stuff. But yeah, Midsummer Scream's
Yeah.
awesome. If you're in Southern
There's always a
California,
lot of-
very worth going.
Yeah, interesting panel stuff.
Yeah.
If you're at all interested in this thing, if you're at all interested in like themed entertainment in general, on a themed attraction esque niche, like this is for sure something that you might want to go to, even if you're not super into horror. It's like not fully about that. So
Yeah,
pretty cool stuff. Excited for the Halloween season. Spencer, your
absolutely.
Yeah.
turn.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I went on a little day trip on Saturday to the San Juan Islands, which are like kind of national park adjacent, but I think
Oh, okay.
they're not
Like
quite
state park?
qualifying. No, they're called like it's called like a national historical park. I don't know.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a beautiful series of 3 or 4 islands off the coast of
It's
Western
protected.
Washington. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you can see the capital of British Columbia, Canada, like across the
Oh, cool.
water. But yeah, it's really cool, and it's kind of famous for orca whales. So there's this
Oh,
orca
okay.
whales over there.
Ooh, very
Yeah,
Seattle of you.
yeah.
Was that a little orca whale impression you did there, Toby?
Ooh. No, but what I was gonna say was there is a state park on the island called Limekiln State Park, which is nicknamed Whale Watch Park by people in the area, I guess. And in they're kind of little like how state parks have like little visitor centers.
Yeah.
Inside they had like what they called like virtual whale watching. And it was
Oh,
basically like you walked in and there was a big screen that like was like you were underwater as an orca, and it was like showing you what to listen
you
for and
are
what
the
to look
orca.
for and like
Did you get a video of that?
no, I really should have.
God
I'd
damn
be
it,
an
dude! I
orca.
would have
Yeah.
loved to see
No,
that.
I'm sure I can find something online. But it was cool. It wasn't like, it wasn't big scale, but it was like this is fun. This is like a really
Yeah.
fun way to like teach people about wildlife, and then you can go out, to the beach, 100 feet that way and like look for the wave that looks like this and listen for this and there they might be,
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was kind of a fun on brand with our episode today, but it was cool. It was a cool little thing, and I don't know, I like it's not even just not even a museum, but like a national park visitor center doing something to engage your
Yeah. To
senses
like
and
teach
your
you how to
Dude,
whale
visitor
watch
centers are
or
yeah,
sick. I love
basically,
visitor
yeah,
yeah,
centers.
teaching you how to whale watch like virtually.
that's cool.
It was cool. Yeah, it was neat.
Damn.
So San Juan
That's
Island's
awesome.
awesome place. It was unbelievable.
All right, boys. Well, with that, I think we are good to go. Thank you, one and all, for joining us for another episode of Fully Immersed, a themed entertainment podcast. We are on YouTube and social media at Fully Immersed Pod. Check us out on Instagram, etc. Once again, like we said at the top of the show, no matter what you're listening on, whether it's YouTube, give us a thumbs up, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're getting your podcasts. If you're listening that way, give us 5 middle fingers. We would love it. Thank you, everyone. I'm Lane Calder, here again with Tobias Lerman Matante and Spencer Bennett. Guys, say bye. Bye.
So long.
Hey,
No,
Gross.
stop.
shalom.
Oh,
Shalom.